curious about is like what happens to comedy now with Biden as president. And I think edgy comedy becomes a lot easier for people to do. And I think you start to see programs like SNL, but also like stand-ups and a lot of people becoming edgy and pushing back. Because you always, as a comic, want to push back against the institution in power. So pushing back against the institution in power when Biden is in power is going to be at least calling out the hypocrisy of that institution. People felt uncomfortable calling out the left when Trump was in power because they thought that was an immediate indictment of being a Trumper, right? So I think a lot of people who will all of a sudden become like maybe edgy again will do it because it's a comfortable environment to be edgy. It's okay to be edgy because by being edgy, people aren't going to associate you with the right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, for how long did people call me fucking right wing, alt-right, all this other shit just because I was making jokes pushing back against the left?
Yeah.
You know, like forever on that shit.
So help me out here, because to that point, a lot of that started when Barack was president.
Yeah. I feel just the exact opposite of what you just said.
Go on.
Like, if their times are more calm, you can't be as edgy because now you're standing out. In chaos, the edginess is like, oh, wait, but we got bigger things to worry about.
I think it always depends on like the industry you're in, right? So like entertainment is usually pretty left-leaning.
Yeah.
Right? And I think in a left-leaning industry, you can call out certain things that exist within the culture, if you will, or within politics or within the world from the safety of a left-wing administration. In other words, yo, this is really fucked up what y'all are doing, but I'm glad that y'all are in charge. Right?
Okay.
When you have a situation like with Trump, right, and you see that like gaining like steam and there's some power in there and pushing back against the left and the institutions that are kind of in control is an indictment on supporting that thing on the right. To some people, they're afraid of that. They're afraid of being connected to that in any single way.
I see your logic. I don't know that it played out like that. I think the anti-PC people got louder when Trump was in office because they felt more like, oh, this is cool now. We got the anti-PC guy in office. And I think I think you helped a lot for sure. I think this podcast helped a lot. But I think it became more okay to fight back against PC culture when the leader of the country, who's been elected, popular vote, whatever, who gives a fuck, that guy got elected by a lot of people.
Right.
So clearly there's something to this. We can get back to it.
Do you think it's fair to say that like the entertainment industry never really embraced that?
Yes.
And if you wanted to work within the entertainment industry, you probably wouldn't take hold with those beliefs.
I agree. I just think it also started with Obama in office. The entertainment industry was still going after picking those guys. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking you to help me out here because in my memory, what we were complaining about even when Obama was in office was, yo, everything is this fucking safe black guy on TV, and then the Indian is also gay or afraid to go outside or some other like characteristic quirk that he can't just be Indian. And they weren't telling our stories, or the comics that they chose for these showcases weren't edgy.
I think it's, again, entertainment is always going to lean left.
Yeah.
When there's someone in charge who's also left, there's a little bit more license to make fun of it. When someone is in charge that is right, especially as polarizing as Trump, and you make fun of the left, the assumption is that you're on the right.
Yeah.
And the right was so fucking radicalized and so radioactive that any association with that made you radioactive.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people were terrified of that, especially like comics and entertainers. You know, poor Chris Pratt, guy just wants to fucking believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
Now he's a Nazi who hates gays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so terrifying for people that were in the entertainment industry. Now, there's two different things we're looking at. The YouTube world and classical entertainment.
Okay. I got you.
You have to break those up. And I should have clarified that.
Okay.
Yeah.
YouTube explodes because the average person is like, yo, I still want jokes.
Yeah.
I don't want pandering to the entertainment industry standards.
Yep.
I still want to just laugh at shit. And sometimes the funny joke is pushing against the left, sometimes pushing against the right.
Yeah.
But let's just make the funniest joke.
Yeah. And I was thinking like socially acceptable for us on the ground, not really speaking to classical entertainment. So that's what
I should have clarified that. I should have clarified
and to your point, where did you blow up? YouTube.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's this, and I think you saw like a lot of even like news organization, not organization, but like, seeing Crystal and Sagar blow up on YouTube as well. And them just being, people who are calling out the left and the right.
Yeah.
But kind of having a little bit more of a fair shake, if you will. And I think that people who are trying to get deals signed by Hollywood were terrified to do anything that might have connected them with this thing that was so radioactive. Because that thing doesn't exist anymore, I think you're going to see a lot more like comics and like creatives going, I can make those jokes because I'm not going to be associated with MAGA. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Trashing Biden in the run-up to the election was really dangerous. Now trashing Biden's like, oh,
he's won? Yeah, he's just like, oh. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're not a Trumper because you trashed him.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's just my feeling. I also am a little bit bummed about it because I like the High Wire Act. I like the stakes being that high.
Yeah.
I like touching a topic that I know that motherfuckers are terrified of touching because they could be accused of being connected to that radioactive thing.
Yep.
And like for me, that makes it exciting.
Yeah.
And look, maybe this is just selfish, but if comedy gets to a point where it's just like, oh yeah, anybody can just say the crazy shit because we feel comfortable with the institution that's in power, it's just like, oh, well, what's the fun?
I personally, I just don't think that will happen.
Yeah, I think people
you're
are still
right.
going to be triggered.
It won't. But you understand what I'm trying to say. The
I
sentiment
do,
might be a little bit more comfy.
Yeah.
Maybe even SNL starting to feel it a little bit. They're like, yo, we can get a little bit more edgy because we know that this guy's in.
Yeah.
I wonder if they get fined, like FCC fines and shit like that.
Maybe. I also wonder if like a post-Trump presidency affects like the culture a little bit. Like when all of like the PC movement started occurring, probably like 2015, like late 2014.
I think earlier. I think in New York, I started seeing it 2008, 2009.
Oh, really?
The second I moved here, I was like, whoa. What is this?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice it until college, obviously. So, like, if that's when, like, it's really booming, where, like, pronouns and, like, we have to be aware of all these different, like, microaggressions and stuff. If that's occurring, people have no idea what to even do with that. Trump gets in office and is, like, pushing back against that. Now are we in, like, a post-correction phase where people are a little more, like, stable as to where, like, they fit in that in that conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is interesting. We always say in this podcast, like every correction's an overcorrection, right? This correction wasn't an overcorrection.